All right, we ready to get into it? All right, perfect. Cool. So we're going to go through a lot. Index is here. This is more for you guys when you guys get back to it. But again, I said we're going to be drinking from a fire hose today, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing. Okay. One thing that I would super appreciate for you guys, I'm not used to wearing this thing. I'm not used to being in front of a big group of people like I am today. Definitely not used to a presentation. I would very much appreciate the questions that you guys have. And I would very much appreciate the engagement and the energy that you guys are here to bring. So I can do my best. There's also Icon, which is basically everything. Oh yeah. All right. Who's familiar with Ray Dalio? Perfect. One thing you guys are going to notice about your sales team, it is constantly a feedback loop that looks like this. You are going to set goals. You're going to start doing those goals. Okay? You're going to see problems. The problems are going to absolutely smack you upside the head. Okay? You're going to go into diagnosis mode, which is you trying to figure out what the hell is going on, and that's probably what some of you guys are doing here today. Okay? You're then going to start designing a plan, and you're going to do it. And that's going to go on forever. Literally forever. Now, the goal with this, and the goal about today, is how to get yourself from the beginning, taking on these first loops, but developing people behind you, so then they are involved. They are basically the loop holder after you are done. Okay? If you want to go from building a team to owning a team, you have to understand what we're going to go over today. So, what are we exactly going to go over? We're going to go over phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 of basically the evolution cycle of sales teams. Okay? What you're going to notice is there's a big loop, which is going to be a phase, and then there's 3 micro loops inside of every single phase that you guys are going to see. Okay? Now, I know where some of you guys are at, but the point of this initial couple slides here is for you to figure out where you're at. Okay? For you to understand where you're actually at in the cycle, in the phase, what you missed, what you have, what you don't have, and what you need to do. All right? So, what is a sales team evolution basically spectrum? Right now we're talking 0 to 1 million. Okay? There's about 3 different evolutions that you're going to go through, specifically when it comes to your sales team, that we're going to talk about today. The point of an evolution spectrum is for you to be able to basically figure out revenue marks, figure out issues, figure out what to focus on, and more importantly, focus, or when you're supposed to actually focus on those things within the different evolutions that are going to be happening. Okay? This is essentially the 3 phases that we're going to take you through: the proof phase, the replicate, and the scale. Okay? Now I'm going to get into it real quick. There we go. One suggestion that, actually I'm going to go into this first, sorry. So, who here has read this book? Anybody? Have you? Have you?
I'm like halfway through it.
Halfway through it? Okay, I know I talked to you about it a few weeks ago. Everybody write this book down. 10x is easier than 2x. Any guesses on what the actual meaning of this is and how? Hi, Crystal. Hi. No, you're good. Take a seat. We're good. Perfect. So, the concept of 10x is easier than 2x is essentially, if you want to 2x anything that you're doing, there's probably about 200, 300 different ways that you can do that. You can change your funnel. You can run new ads. You can optimize your application. You can add a new lead gen source. You can change your scripts. You can put in a new system. You can add, think of a million different things. Those are all probably 2x opportunities. Okay? The biggest issue when you are building your sales team and your systems is not what you focus on, it's when you focus on it. okay? The difference between 2x opportunities and 10x is if you have a 10x opportunity, there's probably 2 or 3 things that you could possibly do to actually 10x your business in the phase and in the basically time frame that you're in, okay? There's probably hundreds of different things that you could do to 2x. Now, as we're going through today, you guys need to be very focused on what is the 10x opportunity for you. The problem with this is, and I am a very, I would say I get into 2x problems all the time. And it's very hard for me to focus on 10x. And the problem with that is that if I'm constantly doing 2x opportunities, working on everything, trying to do as much as I can, I'm not focused on the 10x things. And the crazy part is if you're focused on one thing comparatively to 10, 15, 20, 30 different things, obviously, it's much easier for you, okay? This book breaks down how great CEOs focus on few things, okay? Great founders, great executives, they focus on few things. Startups, early on founders, people building their businesses for the first time, you get stuck in the weeds. And you try and think about literally everything you can do. And the issue is with that is that you knee-jerk into pretty much every single thing that you do, okay? And on top of that, you never actually get to focus on anything and think ahead. So this is the one trap, specifically when you're building your sales team, that you're constantly going to find yourself in. And if you take anything from everything that I've just said up to this point, read this book. Read it. It'll help every single one of you. Okay? And it was actually suggested to me by Jesse, who's going to be speaking on Sunday.
What are some of those things?
What was that?
What are the things that you have to focus on with things?
So, I got a very fortunate opportunity to sit down with Patrick Bet-David, and he talked a lot about this. And essentially, there are 3 different things in the grand scheme of everything that you can focus on to ultimately 10x, okay? There is finding and developing star players, okay? So bringing somebody into the organization that is considered 100% a star player. And the way that you know that they are a star player is they are essentially able to do everything that you want them to do, plus replicate themselves into other people, and plus plan. They can think ahead. And they're able to do all 3 of those things without you basically sitting over top of them. They operate. They do. They get shit done. They don't ask you simple questions. They move fast. They like goals. They're aggressive. They plan. They're organized, okay? So acquiring and developing star players is going to be 1. Number 2, innovative campaigns. As you can tell with Patrick or any massive CEO or any massive founder, or anybody massive that has a big face, big brand, big company, they're constantly thinking about innovative campaigns. Marketing campaigns, new events, new ways of getting influence, podcasts, that's all they think about. That's what they're focused on, okay? There's a caveat to this one, is you can also add a new product. Okay? You can vertically integrate. You can add an upsell. You can go into a new product. Okay? I was actually talking to these 2 gentlemen here in the back. They've got a great company. They're doing amazing things. If you guys don't, they just got here. But how old are you guys? 21. What'd you do last month, revenue? 340. Fluctuate between 3 and 500. Yep. So they have a ton of lower end buyers, ticket-wise, price-wise, right? A massive 10x opportunity for them could be, right, depending on what they have put together, is introducing a new product. If they have 1,000 customers every 3 months on a lower end ticket, if they offered something that's $40,000, $50,000, obviously that is a 10x opportunity, okay? And the last piece is systems, leverage, automation, automated reporting, making your throughput better, focusing on numbers, putting in systems, all right? Anything that gives you leverage. Okay, so this is small, but can everybody see this? Okay, so we're going to talk about phase one. So phase one, what you guys are going to see, and this is how each evolution phase is going to look and how we're going to break it down, okay? So there's 3 main objectives. You've got 6 guiding initiatives, okay? There's a pain versus pleasure scale, and there's a revenue scale, okay? This is going to help you guys start to understand and figure out where you're at, or if you're not here yet, it's going to exactly tell you when you get there, oh shit, I'm at this point, okay? So what you're going to see is your 3 main points are obviously the bigger words inside of the arrow. This is actually phase one, which I'm going to go to here in a second. But we're going from doing it to teaching it to managing it. Okay? We've got to create the process. We prove the process. We optimize it. We systemize it. We set accountable expectations. Okay? We're going to go in a lot more in depth. I'm just going over high level. You've got the volatility scale and revenue. Why? Because when revenue starts dropping from where it was, you're going to freak out. That's okay. As long as you're doing it with a plan and you understand what the hell's going on. And I did this probably about 50 times before I realized, oh shit, this happens every time. Yeah. And yeah, Harrison. So, you're going to go through a pain versus pleasure scale. Remember those micro loops? Big loop, micro loops? Well, here you go. Here's your revenue, here's your volatility, here's your pain and pleasure. It's going to hurt like shit when you start doing it. It's going to start to feel good when you start doing it well. Then you're going to start teaching it, and it's going to hurt weird. You're going to be like, what's going on? I'm not sure what's going on. It's going to start to feel good when people start taking advantage of it. They're learning, they're adapting, they're using it, right? And then you're going to start managing everything. Shit's going to hit the fan again. Okay? Revenue. Why does it look like this? What's the floor? When you first start, everything's going to go up. You're going to be hitting new stuff. You're going to be doing it. It's just you. You're getting going, you're hitting 100,000, 150,000, whatever the case might be. Then you're going to bring people in. Shit's going to hit a floor, or it's going to drop like crazy, okay? Once you start to get into this process and you begin teaching it, or whatever the case might be again, there's different stabilization periods that you're going to start to feel out. If you go month to month to month around the same number, it means you're in a stabilization period, okay, within revenue, within what you're doing, and it means you need to start thinking about the next phase. The next stage of what you need to go into, okay? It's the same thing with systems. We're going to explain it the same way tomorrow, okay? So, getting into it. Phase one, we're going to take you through basically 3 phases. What we're going to talk about, what you guys are going to notice, is it's very, very simple to understand. I'm going to draw this out for you. We're going to talk about it a lot more here in a second. Oh, back here. Process, focus, accountability. Can anybody guess what this is? Come on, just throw something out there.
Formula.
Formula? Sure? Anybody else? You guys are all looking wide-eyed, blank. This is a system. And why systems don't work is because people try and build systems without this, without this, without this. They just jump straight into it. I need a CRM, I need automation, I need dashboards, I need a big, massive pipeline, I need everything to work like this. You didn't even create a process. You have no focus. You have zero accountability or adoption. And you're trying to build a machine. It's not going to work. I promise. And this is the trap that everybody falls into, is they try and jump from phase basically 1 or 0.5 to phase 4. You guys have to be patient with this stuff. You do. Unless you have a plan and you know where you're at. So, what we're going to talk a lot about today is roles okay? Those roles, putting in a process, aligning them to those roles, KPIs, compensation, performance bonuses, competition, pod structures, how they grow, right? Which is focusing, and then accountability, how to set expectations with your team, how to hold them accountable, how to eventually delegate that down, and how to bring leaders up who then hold that accountability for you. Okay? So, where'd the clicker go? There we go. I'm probably going to lose this thing like 4 times, so. Cool. So going off this, prove the phase, replicate it, go into scale. All right? Next. So key points to understand what I'm going over, okay? So decentralized leadership. Does anybody know Jocko Willink? Okay. Extreme ownership. Everybody? Anybody? Cool. So he talks about decentralized leadership, which is essentially rolling down, obviously, decision-making powers and what needs to happen on a day-to-day basis to your team, okay? When it comes to sales, if you try and hold on to everything and do everything, you are going to absolutely lose your mind, you're going to lose all your hair, and you're going to be screwed, okay? So what we're going to talk about a lot is a decentralized leadership structure. We're going bottom-up growth, meaning this structure is meant to build people from the very bottom of your sales team all the way to the top, meaning you're going to be bringing in new hires. Those new hires are not going to be your sales directors. They're not going to be your closers. They're not going to be your star setter. They're going to start from the bottom, and they're going to work their way up, okay? That. We work off of a commission-only structure, meaning if you guys pay your guys' salaries, you guys do something else, you can do that, that's completely fine, but a lot of what we're going to talk about today is going to be a commission-only structure, and we will work with you if you have other bases, if you guys have W-2s or whatever the case might be, but what we're talking about is a commission-only structure that goes from your sales director all the way down to the brand new hire, and how we've been able to do that with teams 60 to 100 people, and it works just fine. Why do we like that? Well, we talked about the revenue cycles. Imagine if you're paying everybody's salary and your revenue takes a dive. Not very fun. Okay? So as you guys are building and getting this started, it is important that we start with commission and we don't try and jump into salaries and everything else. Okay? Tech stack. How many people are, what CRMs are you guys on? Just shout it out. HubSpot, Close, Go High Level, Go High Level. Anybody got anything weird, funky, different? What is it? Pipe Drive, okay. Monday, Airtable. Don't say Airtable. It's going to give Trevor nightmares. Okay, so I'm going to talk about this. One of the most important decisions you are ever going to make, and none of you realize it, is what you start on. Okay? Going into a phase 2 structure, which we're going to talk a lot about, one of the biggest problems, honestly, you guys can probably guess, is having to migrate away from everything that you have. You get a team, they start going, they're growing, shit's moving, everybody's excited, and then you realize you either have to bolt on about 20 different platforms or you have to migrate. Okay? So, tech stack should be mighty, small, scalable. You need to pick the right platforms. You need to be on the right system. And does anybody in here consider themselves a tech person? Joe, you work in a tech company, so yeah. Okay. So if you guys don't understand this stuff, and this is another reason why I'm starting with this today, if you guys don't understand this stuff, it's going to be very, very difficult for you guys to bring in anybody who's actually going to build it for you. First of all. Second of all, if you have zero understanding and you guys are planning on building multiple companies, doing these things yourselves, you guys have to at least understand how they get built so you can make sure and hold whoever you do bring in accountable to what they're actually building. If you own the business, it's your responsibility. So you guys need to understand this stuff. All right? Next, evolution phase is what we're going through. So as you guys grow and as we talk about going through different evolution phases, you've got evolution phase 1, evolution phase 2, and evolution phase 3 over here on the right. Okay? What you're going to notice is this little star that's a little bit blurry here. That's you today. or it is somebody on your team. Okay? What we're going to talk about today is how to go from here, basically all the way out, and having the department basically be ran. So we're going to be talking about how to go from doing to owning the sales department. There's a very specific way to do this. It's very hard. It is very fun and very rewarding, but it's also very complicated and challenging. Okay? So, as we go through this, you're going to keep seeing these different things. Phase 1, you're 100% focused on creating and documentation. Whatever you're doing, you have to create it, you have to document it. That's phase 1. That's basically to 200K. Okay? 200,000 a month, depending on your product, depending on what you guys do. That's all you're focused on. Okay? We're going to talk about what that is. Phase 2 is actually systemizing it and replicating people. Okay? And then phase 3, you're delegating that shit, getting off your plate, automating what you can, right? And setting bigger and better goals. And your team is moving much faster than you could probably think of. Okay? Now, as you go through this, right, we're going to be introducing different pod structures. Okay? How to put in competition, how to set up leaders, how to give people growth structures, how to get promotion plans in place, how to bring the new guy from the new guy to the sales lead. So in 6 months, you have a culture of everybody moving from the bottom up. How you actually develop people and get them to the top of these pods. So when your best guy is making, I don't know, $50,000 to $100,000 a month every single month, they don't leave and take your business. You want to know why that happens? Because people get stagnant. They've been doing the same thing forever, they're making the money they want to make, and obviously high achievers are going to think of what's the next best thing. Well, it's probably doing this for myself. You want to know how it's very hard for somebody to go do that? When they have a team under them. If they've helped build the team, if they've helped build the system, if they've helped build what they're actually doing with you, it's very difficult for them to leave. They're probably not going to want to. Okay? So, it's very important, like we talked about. As we start from the bottom, we move people up to the top, and we give them those opportunities. It's also going to allow you guys to recruit 10 times better talent than you guys probably ever thought you could. Even early. If you have a plan, if you have a map, and we're going to talk about this later, and you can go to them, this is how you're going to start, this is where we want you to be, this is where we're going to be in 6 months, we're going from here to here to here to here, here's exactly how you do that. We're going to basically take you from practice squad to the bench to starting second half to starting first half to captain. And here's your plan. That's how you get talent. If you put a ladder in front of somebody that's aggressive and wants to get shit done and wants to grow and wants to build, that's your first, basically, step to doing anything in your sales team, especially going from phase 1 to phase 2. You gotta have a ladder. People want to climb. All right? So as you guys go through this, you notice that you moved from basically first level to second level to third level. Okay? Third level is out, meaning you have about 15% of responsibility to the sales team, which primarily is going to be roster management and a couple other pieces, which we're going to talk about. So guess what? Starting phase, it's 100% on you. It's 100% on you. Most people try and figure out, how do I get this shit off my plate right away before they even get started, and it's not going to work. It's just not. It's not going to work for you. It doesn't work for me. It just doesn't work. Okay? As you go from starting phase to ending phase, you're going to start delegating some. Starting phase 2 to ending phase 2, you should have about 50% of responsibility. And then phase 3 is where you basically hand off the department, and it is now something you own. Okay? 2 scenarios. So I'm going to talk about something, and some people in this room it may hit home for. So as we go through this, I'm going to talk about this, but I'm going to give you guys a scenario. So scenario 1, it's a phase 2 team. So they're doing about, let's say, 200 to 500K. Okay? They've got 2 killer sales reps. Failed to set proper expectations with them, obviously. They never held the other team members accountable. Now they've hired or basically brought in-house somebody to set up sales operations for their team to scale. This will ensure new processes, new systems, and everything gets held accountable. What do you think happens? They have 2 unicorns that basically drove them to where they're at now. They didn't have any sales systems, really. You know, the guy that's doing 200K a month is still on a pen and paper. And now the founder is being held hostage by these 2 people. No changes. No, I don't like that. I'm good. What am I going to do? You make all of the money here. I can't do anything. I skipped phase 1. I didn't build shit out, so we don't have any assets. We don't have any process. We have nothing. I can't bring anybody else in. So basically, they own the company now. They own you. So in this scenario, now that you've realized I'm being held hostage, I haven't done anything inside of phase 1, which we're going to talk about, meaning there is absolutely nothing created. We don't have any documentation. We don't have any plan in place. These guys are just unicorns and they carried it. What do you think happens? Possibly. Of course. Could happen. What's going to happen is you're going to try and put in some systems or whatever, and they're going to kick back like an angry horse, and anybody that you bring in while they're still there is going to do the exact same thing. Follow bad habits, see bad habits. You're not going to be able to do anything. You could spend $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 putting in new systems, new process, recruit the right people, bring everybody else in. If your top 2 people are not following anything, they will not follow anything. And you just waste your money. And guess what? Everything's going to crash down, or you're going to be in this constant vicious cycle of battling with them, and you're going to burn out. For everybody in this room, this is probably the number one thing that you guys need to look out for. If you have great people, you need to set great expectations and accountability from day 1. And if you don't do that, you're going to run into these issues. And this is something we see all the time. We go in, we build out new systems, we build out new everything for this company, and they've got one guy on the top that does 80% of the revenue, and it doesn't get adopted. And guess what? 6, 8, 12 months later, they're out of business. This is serious. This is very serious, because this is what sneaks up on everybody, and nobody realizes it. They've got this great sales guy, he's a unicorn, he's killing it, he's crushing it. What they're not realizing is that this scenario is very, very potential for them. Okay? Scenario 2. All right, we got a phase 3 team. They're doing about 500 to $1 million. You guys. All right? Phase 3. They have built, this isn't exactly you guys, but just something to think about. Phase 3 team, they're doing, let's say, $600,000 a month, okay? They have bolted on everything that you can think of. Every event they go to, they buy new software. Every single time they do something, they change a process. They have 16 different platforms that everybody logs into on a day-to-day basis. They have no tracking, everything's a mess, but they have a great product, great marketing, and the sales team is killing it. Any guesses on where this is going to go? 100%. It's going to explode. Why? You've got 10 different platforms trying to talk to each other. You've got sales reps that are starting to get pissed off because clients are getting 56 different emails from whatever. Clients who were clients last year are getting onboarding emails today. There is no reporting, meaning every time you try and pull a number, your entire leadership team works on it for about a week and a half before you can get that number. And making any changes or being agile in any way is impossible. Again, picking the right platforms and the right tech in the beginning is just as important as basically anything we're going to talk about today. Okay? Take a second to answer these questions. All right? Please write this down. Please do this. We're going to reflect on this a lot. Okay? You guys don't know much about the evolution phases yet or the spectrum, but where are you currently? No right, no wrong, just write it down. Where are you currently today? Okay? It could be completely outside of sales, but where are you currently? Where do you want to go in the next 3 to 6 months? And what is stopping you from doing that? 3 bullets. I'll give you guys 2-3 minutes, and we will continue.